When you think of baseball, you probably picture the field, the crowd, maybe the scoreboard lighting up after a home run. But behind the scenes, there's an entire design challenge unfolding. How do you keep fans engaged when the game is no longer enough? In today's world, the fan experience is as much about the tech in your hand as it is the action on the field. And nowhere is that more true than at Yankee Stadium, where tradition is meeting innovation. I'm Mark Garcia, and you're listening to the Product Builders Podcast. Today, we're joined by Peter Gergely, the Director of Content and Fan Experience at Yankee Stadium, and he's someone who's seen this transformation firsthand. Peter, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
I appreciate the invite, and I'm excited about speaking with you today.
Awesome. Before we dive into this conversation, I like to give guests the opportunity to introduce themselves. So, can you tell us a little bit about you and how you got to where you are?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm in my 17th season here at the Yankees. It's hard to believe that I'm this deep into my career, but it goes in the blink of an eye. So I went to Penn State. I took broadcast journalism. From there, I wasn't sure where I wanted to go. Did a news internship. Didn't love the news aspect of it. And I fell into an internship with the Buffalo Bills way back in 2000. So from there, we were in the ending of the analog age and starting the digital age. So I have a unique experience of beginning my career at that transition. So as my time in this profession has evolved, so has digital media, digital tech, content creation, you name it. So from the Bills, I was there for a year as an intern, then went to the Pittsburgh Steelers to open Heinz Field. That's what it was called back then, to debut our big new scoreboard when it was new. And then I was there for 7 years doing various jobs from editing, shooting, working on the team website. And then when I was 27, 28, I believe, I got an opportunity to go with the Dolphins in Miami. And I worked for the Dolphins, the Marlins, and University of Miami when they all shared the same stadium. It's now Hard Rock Stadium. I became a manager, kind of did the staffing, got away from content, creative work a little bit, missed it. So after 2 years, I ended up with the Yankees. They hired me to help open up the new stadium in 2009. And again, I've been here ever since. It's been a great ride. And my job has evolved through the years from just creating content and video for the team website to now we're putting, it's basically social media is king. So that's one half of my job. And I'll wait. I know you have more questions leading into my day to day, but it's been a great ride. So I've enjoyed all of it.
Awesome. Thank you for that intro. And you teed me up perfectly. Director of Fan Experience. I'm not sure that's a title that everyone is super familiar with, probably pretty niche to your industry. What does your day-to-day look like when we're talking about fan experience?
Yeah, it still feels new to me, to be honest. I've been in video production, content creation, the newer term, since my career started, but we were seeing a need for a dedicated person to kind of take all the calls, talk with vendors about what's happening out there digitally, tech, AI, AR, whatever it may be, to help make that an asset the fans can utilize as opposed to just the game on the field. So I'm still learning what my role is all these years later because this tech world is not getting any smaller. It grows by the minute, it feels like. So my day to day is half content creation, half video production. That means I help shoot the game sometimes. I'm editing videos for the scoreboard, for social media, but it also means I'm looking at on a constant basis what's out there, what can help the fan have a better time in the stadium. That's simplifying what I do. Say it's and that's not only tech. It's not only in the digital world. It's also I find a graffiti artist in the city to create a mural in the concourse during a game. But then I'm also thinking, okay, he's creating a mural, but how do we make that? How do we tech that out? So is there a QR code? What if you want to watch the mural? Can they win this mural? So a lot of it, that's just one example of what I'm doing. So on a daily basis, it's anywhere from the creative world to my fan experience world, just making this place better for fans as tech becomes a larger presence in the stadium.
Right. So clearly we're seeing that fan experience isn't just about watching a game. You've already mentioned content creation, video creation. It's about designing for emotion, for energy, for an audience whose expectations have completely changed. So that's really interesting. So that said, actually, let's zoom out a bit and talk about the audience a bit more. I know one thing we talked a lot about planning for this was the audience, who you're designing for. Of course, Product Builders Podcast, we're always talking about the user. In your case, the user is the fan. and the fans' relationship to the game has changed dramatically in the past decade. Correct? Can you speak to what that looks like and how has the fan experience shifted over the past couple of years, particularly in terms of tech and the pandemic and all of that?
Sure. And that's interesting because the pandemic almost create this new type of fan. And it's still a challenge because you have your old school fan, the better odds since, 1960, 70, watching Yankees baseball. Then you have your new generation fans and everyone in the middle. So not only we're trying to address the needs of the newer fan, we're also trying to not get too far ahead and we lose our older fan base. So, but I'm going to focus for today's call is on the newer fan and what they're feeling, we think they need. Just like all of us out here that have children, attention spans have become minimal, and that's not a knock on anybody. It's just the way we are in society. That's what these phones have created, and I'm guilty myself, scrolling and get caught up in that. Being at a game with my kids and I'm looking at whatever in my phone. So why not embrace that? And that's the mobile devices are the biggest thing that have changed in a ballpark. I remember going to a Cubs game right before the Cubs got their video board. They were the last stadium to get a video board. So we already had boards in all major sports, big screens. I'm guessing it's probably about 2003 or four before social media became a really big presence. And I couldn't believe how I was a little bit bored, to be honest, because I was used to playing games with screens and entertainment, and it was just music and the game itself. And now I look back, I kind of miss that, to be honest. But I think the way it's changed is that fans expect more than just a ball game. And I think part of that's because they connect with players more. They actually can literally talk to players on social media, whether it's positive or negative. These players are also involved in what's new and presence. We get calls from our own players asking for different music, for different fan engagements to keep our fans going. It's honest truth. Our players actually are concerned about how it feels in the stadium. So from a fan perspective, I think they want more. They want to be entertained pretty much at every minute. We want to provide multiple touch points at any given moment in the game. So they can watch the game if they want. They can also play on their phone with an interactive game at the same time as watching the game. They want to hear music they like. So it's hitting multiple touch points at any given point, or else they're going to get bored. And I think that's how things have changed in a nutshell.
Great. And I know one thing we spoke about as well was just the pandemic also kind of accelerating this tech need and this kind of changing environment in the stadium. Can you speak a little bit about how the pandemic has directly affected your work as well? Because I know that feels really relevant as well in terms of innovating and what you're doing.
Yeah, I think everyone from a personal and societal standpoint, we all took a step back and we realized that we were going so hard for so long and then there was nothing. And I think that nothing was great for a little while, but then we all started getting antsy, right? So when we came back into it, the fans just wanted to need more. And it was also a chance to just reset personally for everybody. And on a professional standpoint, we reassessed everything. And that's the easy way to say. I think everyone reassessed everything at that point. So from our standpoint, what we're doing here, we reassessed our entertainment value. Prior to COVID, it was for speaking on baseball only, because football, I worked at football and basketball. They're all very different how you entertain a fan. Basketball is nonstop. You hear music. During the play, you hear music. You hear defense nonstop. But we came back into it. We're like, all right, we need to do more than during inning breaks. We do these long commercials, or we have a player feature telling us if he likes scrambled or fried eggs, or whatever the personality standpoint may be. We had absolutely zero interactivity on our phones for fans. And we knew that had to change right away because we came back, and I mean, a year and a half is a long time when it comes to tech and any kind of digital engagement. So that's where I got my role right out of COVID. He's like, all right, we know he knows everyone in the company. He's been here for a long time. Let's have him add on to his job description, seeing what's out there, taking calls. How do we enhance the fan experience? And it's been a slow roll of trying to figure it out, trial and error. We tried some things that haven't worked, tried some things that worked great. And I think that's why we kind of reassessed, because we took a step back and the fan changed of that little course of a year and a half to where they just need more on a constant basis. And I mean, I'm getting older each year. We all are, but the new fan base, we always joke, we get older, but the players are the same because they're coming in as young age.
Yeah.
Just like we're getting older, but the fans, there's always going to be a young base of fans coming in. They're going to be the new model of what we need to showcase and what we want to enhance for them, the generation, while maintaining some traditional aspects for the older fan.
That's a really great point. I actually did a podcast episode with someone in the live theater entertainment space as well, where the phone was part of the actual experience, unlike your traditional kind of put your stuff away. And one of the things that we touched on was that this younger generation grew up with phones, unlike older generations, right? And so, whereas we might see phones as a distraction, this younger generation just sees it as like an everyday tool that they're so
Yeah.
used to. And such a different perspective when you think about just how I view a phone or you view a phone versus someone who grew up with it their entire lives. So you just touched on this in terms of having to balance out this kind of traditional entertainment and authenticity in the stadium while also trying to build that engagement. Can you speak to what it's like and what kind of considerations you have to take into account when you are, trying to push this envelope and test new things, but also not wanting to just get away completely from what baseball's all about and your older demographic, et cetera?
Yeah, I'll give you an example of how I balanced out the first time I introduced our first interactive mobile device app or game, I guess. I found this company and they produced a bingo game on the phone. I didn't want to just throw something at the fans that wouldn't be utilized or would be just hated because what are you doing? We're watching the Yankees here. So I wanted to, why not combine them both? They can watch the game and play the game along with what's happening on the field. So the bingo game was through MLB Ballpark app, which is our MLB has their own platform that anything that we utilize has to go through their platform. Easy to use. It's all under one stop shop. So the bingo game had baseball events. Your bingo card was home run, triple, strikeout, 6-4-3 double play. So they could play the game and be on their phones and get that fix while also watching the game on the field. So I thought it was a great happy medium on how to start advancing ourselves into the new world, but also not trying to anger and turn off the older fan base. And we had great numbers that first year. Analytics came in really strong for the first year of a app like that in Yankee Stadium. We generally have a pretty traditional approach on things, which is why I'm happy that we're starting to really push the boundaries. So that's a real life example of how I balanced it. We're still trying to figure that out, and
Mhm.
we learned that you can't please everybody. We're trying to please the majority, and now we have a bunch of players who I love. It's a great team we work with. We also have an opinion. So, and we want to obviously embrace their opinions because they're the ones that are needing to produce in the field for the fans. So yeah, it's a balance. I don't have the perfect answer for you. I just know we try to, it's trial and error. We listen to social feedback a lot, and we all know there's a lot of anger out there on socials. People like to spout off about what they're unhappy
Of
about more than what
course.
they're happy about. So it's a
Exactly.
balance. Luckily, being in live entertainment, we're one of the few genres, I guess, of entertainment, if you will, that we get live feedback. We get applause, we get cheering, we get booing. We also get to go on social right after the game and see what they liked, what they didn't like, because we hear it.
Right. That's great. Thanks for that anecdote. I actually want to flip it around a little bit because I feel like we can learn a lot from failures. Has there been something that you've rolled out that you thought that your team thought was going to be like a big home run, a big hit, and maybe it wasn't quite as successful or just wasn't received the same way you thought it would be?
Yeah, last year we like it, but I'll give you a reason why it was a success and a failure. We started this AI feature last year, and that goes live on the big board, and we used it for social too. But basically, people can scan a QR code early in the game. We promote it, and then we create AI photo of them. It can be anything. Literally, AI works. If it's I don't know, Superman night, we can create players and fans of Superman, put them in cape and robe, and then we'll promote their picture original with that AI lookalike photo on the board. Killed it. A lot of people fans loved it last year. In the postseason, we did it, and when it's all supposed to be serious and intense, we ran the AI feature with players as like these goofy caricatures. It got crushed. I mean, our beat writers were killing it. Social was killing it. Our owner called us, and And I see why 100%. In hindsight, we probably shouldn't have done a goofy feature during the postseason. It's different in the regular season. So again, live and learn. I 100% understood the lashback on that. And just you're going all hard all season long. You're 81 home games plus postseason. You just miss some things sometimes, and you're not thinking clearly about we probably should not put this for the postseason. So that's off the top of my head one example of it. And you gotta roll with it.
Yeah. That's a great example, which really we've already started to dig into my next section here, but I really want to get into the technology piece of this conversation today. A lot of our listeners work in digital products, but what's really interesting about your world is that product for you includes the physical space too, right? You have a lot more to consider than just what's in your hand, your phone. So you've already got into some of this. You mentioned like the bingo game, some QR codes. Can you just talk about what kinds of technologies you're exploring to create the experience more immersive and interactive? Is it just truly all sorts of things out there you're just trying and figuring out how to make work, or is there specific platforms that you use?
No, I take as many calls as I can. As you can imagine, we get contacted by a ton of vendors. The Yankees. It's a global brand, and I'm saying that very humbly, by the way. That it's
Hmm.
pretty cool that people want to come to us and work with us. The one thing I discovered a few months ago, it's pretty proprietary. It's a software that it can read. It's a sensory application. So in the game, fans can obviously subscribe. Yes the prompts, and you opt in. And what it does, it gauges a number of parameters, your body heat, and this is right through your phone. It gauges your noise, it gauges how crazy you're moving around, a ton of sensory options. And from there we can see literally on a platform, it's all web based, really easy to use, who is in a sense the craziest fan, who's the best fan in the stadium. And then we haven't used it yet. This is what I'm really seeking for next year. And then we can have like literally a chart on the board, a live chart that's showing these fans by name or by, tag or whatever it is, who is the funnest or craziest fan in the stadium with prizes. And we can, hey, get crazier. So the fans that aren't up the top of the rankings can move up. The ones that are at top can keep going. And the whole goal is to create a better atmosphere here. Get everybody battling against each other, and in turn, it becomes a unified, loud, raucous stadium, which we want to have here all the time. So I've dove into that a little bit. I've spoken with some people about it, and I'm really excited about that. Not sure where it's going to go. I know it's been used in
Hmm.
Europe and in Ireland so far for major soccer matches, but we'll see. They have no U.S. clients yet, so I'm hoping to be the first.
That sounds really cool. I imagine that feels like more of a manual job, right? If you talk about traditional experiences where you probably have someone with a camera just trying to like pan and look for a crazy fan, and if you could use tech to do that, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's the hope.
on that same note, you're talking about biometrics in that instance, but what role does data and like real time feedback now play for you? So you've mentioned one thing that was really interesting. You get real time feedback, you get the applause, you can see how things are going. Uh, are there other types of data that you're collecting in the actual kind of like apps that you put out there and QR codes and stuff that you look at?
Yeah.
And
The
how
great
do
thing about
you
ballpark app
analyze?
and ML, it's tough because we have to go through a lot of hoops because MLB is very protective of their brand. And again,
Hmm.
where if you work for NFL or NBA team, you can make your own websites, you can create your own team app. We can't do that. It's all going to run through a ballpark app, which is I think it may make sense for MLB's standpoint. Um, they have built-in analytics for anything we put on their ballpark app, and we have fan voting for 80. It's called 80s in the eighth. We have an 80s half inning, and fans can vote for the best 80s song of the night. That's just a simple example, but everything we put on there, it's tracked by MLB statisticians. So we have who is touching in, and everyone that has ballpark app has an MLB account. So we see where they live. We see how many tickets have they bought this season. So we can kind of work with what they provide us data wise to isolate and specify promotions for them. They buy a lot of merchandise. They can give discount for the team stores. We can reward them and help them have a better experience through analytics. So that's one way to do it. Another way is for the bingo example, we have who was playing, who played and played all game, who played for one card and then dropped it. And we can reach out to them. And I've done a lot. I'm a big survey person, so I can reach out to our fans and offer them a big discount on correct merchandise or food and ask for their opinion back on how, not only just how that game worked for them, but how was their experience at Yankee Stadium, what they want to see more of, what's hard to find in the stadium. So the good thing about Ballpark app is that everything is unified. So they're all fans that bought tickets before we know how to get in touch. And it's not in a really intrusive way. We're very careful with that, but it's just a way to help. Of course, there's the money making aspect of it, targeting aspect of it as far as sales, but there's also, we want them to be happy here and get them to keep coming back. And that's how we use analytics in a lot of ways.
And that's great. And maybe you can build on that a bit more. How do you measure success when experimenting with new fan-facing technologies? I assume part of it is like, are people actually using it? You've already mentioned like social media reactions, but do you just cross-reference all these different areas of feedback?
That's a good way to put it. It's a lot. I'm not even trying to say I'm the best numbers guy. I'm in doing what I do. I'm at 25 years later because I asked my college advisor what does not involve any math or science. So it's pretty funny that now I'm diving into analytics and data to find out what's successful, what's not. So I think it's a combination of all those factors. Yeah, from a literal standpoint, we look at how many people signed on to our selfie cam or the photo magic I told you about with the AI filters. We can see everything. How many people clicked on? We have a window open up. All right, we have 6,000 photos in the queue right now. That's a big chunk of fans here. That's almost 8% of our fans that are signing on, which is actually pretty successful for a feature or an interactive fan engagement. But there's also the just live. We literally watch their faces on the board, and I watch players. They're watching the board. Are they enjoying it? And I'm down the field a lot, so I can look up and see who's watching it. And you don't have hard numbers, but you can tell what's working out there and what's not by being in the crowd. If you're really focusing on fans' faces. So I'd say it's a combination of the real hard data and just fan experience and what I'm seeing out in the crowd. And again, I'll ask people personally. I'll walk around the stadium, ask them, and we can also see their feedback. So I know that's not anything tech or futuristic, but I like to be old school sometimes too.
It's funny you mentioned having to work with data, right? So I'm a creative. I'm on the design side of things. I got into it because I didn't want to have the analytical part of my brain have to be stressed out. And now I feel like product design is all about analytics and data and like crunching numbers. So my role as well is kind of adapting. And I think what's really interesting about your world as well is, in product design, when I'm designing an app, I have to facilitate user tests and surveys and try to get that information and feedback. Being able to see it live, like right in front of you as the game's happening, must be such a unique experience in terms of, seeing the success of the stuff that you put out there for fans. So I can't even imagine what that would feel like for me if I can get just like hundreds of feedback in an instant by just looking out at a crowd. Seems like such a cool experience.
Yeah, it's unique. It's live sports is a very niche and bizarre career to be in. I wouldn't have thought this for myself when I was 16, but and again, it's really neat because even if you're watching Netflix or whatever, they have to wait for a little bit of feedback to come back on how a season did, how an episode did. I guess it's getting easier for them now that it's all on obviously digital platforms. But you think about all TV ratings; those were weeks to come back from a Super Bowl or whatever else. So it's really great that we get to see real live feedback. And you combine that with the social responses and the data and the numbers on how many clicks we got. It all becomes part of a larger picture of what's working, what's not. So we're always looking at that stuff.
That's great. And you mentioned earlier that you are always just taking calls with vendors and exploring new topics and new ways of innovating. What does the collaboration process look like with these vendors that you partner with, and how do you decide which ideas are worth implementing and which aren't?
That's a great question. A lot of times now, there's a lot of companies doing similar things. Not that they're not great. It's just at this point, I've taken so many calls that I'm hearing a lot of similar pitches and similar type tech, all great stuff, just maybe not the direction we want to go in. So at this point, I'm 5 years into kind of doing this role. I'm selective on when I see a thing like the biometrics, with the phone and seeing what fan is crazy, to me, I know now what I'm looking for. It's unique. It's proprietary. I haven't seen it before, and that's hard to do in this current climate because everyone's
Right.
doing a lot of great stuff, and a lot of it's been crossover. So I take as many as I can. I respect the work people put into things, and I want to hear everyone's pitch and whatever else because you never know what could work. Might not be something that you thought off the top would be great, but after hearing the details of a product, it might be better than just the initial email. But I like to look for things right now that I haven't seen before, that I haven't heard before. And it's really cool to see, that this current team that brought this to me. It's one very smart woman. I forgot, she's from Portugal, who's very, very database and computer science based, and then this marketing guy who was brilliant. So pretty cool. These two people came up with this really, really incredible software, and I think it's fascinating because that's something I could never. I'm not a designer or a builder, so I guess that's sorry. It's a kind of a long-winded answer, but yeah, I look for things that are new. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's true.
Great. Is personalization something y'all are looking into as well? I know, in the app world, being able to make the experience feel really individual, big thing for a lot of digital product designers. Is that something that you all have to consider as well when you are thinking about the fan experience and how you can?
Yeah, 100%, and that's something I think we haven't tackled it yet. But I was talking to my supervisor a few weeks ago, saying I see that in 5-10 years, I think every fan's gonna walk in here and have a different experience from the person next to them because of personalization. Their phone is a lot of because of data. You know, brother one is going to get a promotion on his phone. He walks in the stadium. Like you walk in the stadium, it's going to geotag you, and it's going to be boom. Hey Scott, welcome back to Yankee Stadium. Today you get 20% off the team store because he's a big merchandise buyer. Brother two is going to have a promotion about a food item right into his phone when he walks in that stadium because he loves the food here at Yankee Stadium. He's bought the Judge Burger 10 times. So I think for sure it's down the road for us. We haven't dug into that too much yet, but I think that's all. I mean, live concerts, sports, any live entertainment is going to be super personalized in 5-10 years. Again, it's just something that's not there for us yet, but that's I think where it's going.
You actually, my next question that I literally had teed up, thinking about the future and looking ahead, what would your vision be for the in-stadium experience be in like 5 to 10 years? Is it the personalization, or do you think there's other areas that you can see live entertainment and tech really going in?
Yeah, that's another great question. I've thought about this recently, and I don't know how much it's going to change on a grand scale in 5-10 years. I mean, remember in the 80s when I was growing up, I was either going to fly in cars by 2000,
2000,
and
right? Yeah.
and it is going fast, not how much faster than it did before, but I don't know if the in-stadium experience is going to be totally different 5-10, but I think that personalization is something people are going to crave, and they're going to get hit with it automatically. Like I go into my local gym and I get an email the app pops up right away saying, "Hey, here's your QR code, scan right in," and I'm wondering why we don't have that. So I think it's much harder to do at a 50,000 person stadium than it is a local gym. But I just think there's so much potential when it comes to personalization and how you can target the fan for what they personally like to do in a stadium because everyone's different. Families that have kids, they'll get notifications that the kids zone up in the 400 levels open right now, and there's a cotton candy machine in section 125. So there's really no effort on how to find what they need to find in the stadium on a game day. There's a pitching cage and down in the Great Hall. Those kind of things that you might not see because you walk in the same gate every day and then you go to the same seats every day. I think that aspect of a game day experience is the next step, and I think fans would truly appreciate it.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And then speaking along the same lines of like emerging technologies and things that are really trending right now, how are things like AR, VR, AI, how are those technologies shaping the fan experience? If they are these kind of trends things that you're also seeing that you have to consider as part of the work that you do?
Yeah, we haven't dug a ton into that yet. I've thrown a few things up the ladder in organization that I've seen. The Cowboys are actually a front runner on AI, AR, VR. They have a lot of cool physical enhancements in their stadium, from photo booths to whatever else. We're not there yet. I'm dying to go there. right out of COVID, I was thinking, well, the headsets aren't going to be a thing for a long time because people, a lot of students started having the headsets and having fan booths where you can go up and do that kind of thing. But we're not quite there yet. But I think that's it. Yeah, it's going to be part of it. It has to be part of it. If you don't, you're falling behind. And I've told people that I have to pitch things up to that we have to start getting more here for on that aspect. And we just haven't yet, but I'm excited about the future for that.
And backing this question out a little bit here, for other people who work in, let's say, a similar, maybe not in sports, but a similar vertical as you, where they're trying to innovate on an experience, a company, a legacy kind of brand that isn't necessarily a tech company, if you will. What advice would you give them if they are having to think about ways to be immersive, innovate, integrate technology into an experience that wasn't dictated by technology in the past?
In a sports setting or in general?
In general, I mean, I think what you do could apply to anybody, whether it's live entertainment or any other these traditional spaces. But
Yeah, I personally would say just move slowly. Well, that's hard because it's moving at a breakneck pace. But I say when you begin the process, know your core. Obviously, target your core first. Knowing you're not going to please everybody, like I said before, but try to please your base. Try to please your biggest group of people first, um, and focus really closely on your feedback, whether it's data, whether it's fan reaction, live, because it's a treacherous road, and it's really hard. It was tough. I had a lot of nights where I would say sleepless because I always sleep well, but it was worrisome where I'm like, my God, are we doing this too fast? Yankee Stadium, yes, we are evolving, but we don't want to, we got the generation of fans. Some watch like 70 teams play, so I would say, don't fall behind, but move slowly enough where you can make sure that you're making smart decisions and you're appeasing to your core fan base and your
yeah,
core customer
that's
base,
great.
I guess, depending on what business you're talking about.
Great advice. And actually, I know you said to start slow. I fully understood what you meant. Like start slow, but go fast
Yeah,
at the same time. Right? Like
oxymoron, but I guess
do
there's no
do
better way to
both.
describe it.
Awesome. So I know we've covered a lot today. Before we wrap up, I do like to end things with a quick fire segment. I'm going to throw a few rapid fire questions your way. You can just say the first thing that comes to your mind. You don't have to give a long explanation here. Let's see, or maybe I'll do three or four here. All right. If Yankee Stadium could have one futuristic upgrade overnight, sky's the limit, no budget, whatever you wanted to do, what would it be and what would you want it to be?
I want a couple hologram machines. I've seen this tech. So literally we can have a player down in the clubhouse because it's hard to be around fans. And that's a quick hit question. I'll be fast. He can be down on the camera in the clubhouse in his own little area, cool food, but talking to fans live in the concourse through a hologram machine. And he'll be, hey, I see you with a yellow shirt on. And they'll be looking around. So that's a tech. I think it's the coolest thing ever. I want to have that here.
I actually have never seen a hologram in person either, so that would be really cool to see myself. Is there another city or stadium outside of Yankee Stadium that you think does fan experience really well?
I don't want to say this, but the Dodgers, they beat us in the World Series, but I got to have a close up and unique experience in the World Series out there. And it's crazy to say that because there are much more up to date stadiums that are doing more as far as tech goes. But I got to experience what they do during game and their music, their live video board stuff. It was a fun environment and they have great speakers. So I know it's not a very tech based answer, but that to me was one of the coolest experiences in sports I've been to.
Awesome. I'm going to try to do two more here. Let's see. What's the most surprising moment you've experienced in your career while working a game, tech or non-tech related?
Tech or not tech related?
Yep.
Uh, okay, so I worked for the Steelers for a number of years, and I created a lot of hype tile videos for a scoreboard. And I had never been to Pittsburgh before. I moved there, and it's a classic rock town. If nobody knows that, they love the classic rock. So one of the guys that lives in Pittsburgh told me to make a video to "Renegade" by Styx. You know that song, "Oh Mama, I'm in." So I created
Yep.
this Renegade video. I edited it along with the producer that brought the song to me, Mike Majesytk, and it didn't blow up right away, but by the end of that season, it became an anthem in Pittsburgh. To this day, if you ask a Pittsburgh Steelers fan about Renegade, they'll know what the song is, they'll know what it means, and it's played before big defensive stands. So to this day, I can't believe that video, not my best work, became larger than life, to where Styx actually came and played it at the stadium live a few times. So that's a pretty
That's
cool
awesome.
moment, and it's
Yeah.
biggest surprise I've had.
You're an influencer as your side job.
Early 2000s influencer, which wasn't that's word back then. I guess that's what it was.
Last one here, and this is a more personal one, but who is your either favorite food vendor at the stadium, your favorite snack at Yankee Stadium?
I got to go with LaBelle's. You might know LaBelle's. It's a New York City
I
icon,
do.
and I've been having a steak sandwich this year since 2009, and now they have a brisket sandwich here. And if you come to Yankee Stadium, you
boy.
got it. The 99 burger is new and it's really good, but LaBelle's brisket sandwich might be the best steak sandwich I've ever had. So that's number one here for me.
Haven't been in a few, so I'm gonna have to go try that next time I'm at the stadium.
Section 135, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Awesome. Thanks for playing along. Before we go, we do wrap up every episode with a Majesytk Byte. If listeners could take away one thing from this episode, what would your byte be?
I like to keep it simple. As complex as life becomes, again, your personal life, your profession, as you get older, families come along. It's hard to balance everything. So I think the more you can just kind of say, don't take life too seriously. And I know that's simplifies it, because sometimes you have to. But I have a saying, it's just baseball. It's just baseball. I know there's a lot of money to be had and lost or whatever, but if I can just keep my mind that it's just baseball. Well, I mean, it's not that I don't do any less work. I don't work any less hard, or I'm not thinking as hard. But I think the more you can just keep it in perspective, and I know that's kind of cliche, I think the better off you're going to be in your life as a whole. Just kind of live free, live easy, make mistakes, and you learn from them. It's that simple, I think.
Awesome. Great byte. Peter, this was such a great conversation. Thanks for pulling back the curtain on what it takes to build a fan experience in today's digital world. We will link out to everything in our show notes. And for those of you tuning in, thanks always for listening. If you found this episode helpful, give us a follow, leave us a review, or share it with someone you think would find this interesting as well. This is the Product Builders Podcast, and we'll see you next time.